Lieve jij, wil jij deel uitmaken van iets groters? Wil je meebouwen aan een mooiere wereld en tegelijkertijd extra's ontvangen en je verbinden met gelijkgestemden? Bouw dan met ons mee. Word member van 𝘠𝘕𝑉IBES. Doe het vandaag nog. Ga ervoor naar onze website www.𝘠𝘕𝑉IBES.nl en dan bouwen we samen met jou aan die mooiere wereld.
When I was meditating there in Sri Lanka, trying to access that information, what I'm supposed to do with all of this, the beings there in that region, they told me, look above and you will see the yin yang. Above India, you have Taklamakan Desert with the Karakoram mountains, which is Tibet and China. So they both create the yin yang. And the only thing that is down there, it's a tiny little island that is called Amsterdam. So I went to Amsterdam to look for the egg. And
did you find it?
And all I found was like these golden eggs painted on the walls in Amsterdam. And I said, this is interesting. So I was driving around the country trying to find out something until I felt the calling to a specific place that I had no idea where it was. It's called Naarden.
Naarden, yes.
So watch in Google Maps what Naarden is, and you will see the golden egg.
It's such an honor and a pleasure, Matias De Stefano, to have you with us today. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for being with us. My first question to every guest is, how are you doing in these very times we are living in right now? You know, in this time of period we are moving, maybe in this time of Aquarius. How are you doing?
Oh, I love it.
Yes, yes. Tell me why.
I am very positive person usually. So I really love the times that we are living, even if there's a lot of chaos. This probably is one of the best times for humanity, I believe. So,
wow. Why is that? Why is that? Why is the best time for us as humankind?
Well, sometimes when we think about the past and the great civilizations that we had in the past, we tend to believe that that was better. But for example, what I remember, there were a lot of obligations, and you were supposed to be something according to what the others expected for you to be, to do it right. So there was a lot of conditions and stuff, and today is very free. If there is a problem in your culture, you can just move to another country and do something different, or you can connect with people everywhere and use technology to discover all the things that before you couldn't unless you have a wise person on the temple. So I think that today we have so many options and so much freedom, even if some countries are behind, but I think that what is happening today with the evolution of our consciousness and everything that we are doing, like what we are doing right now here, it would be impossible just 10 years ago.
So true, yeah.
That's why I'm excited about this time.
It's a very exciting time. I have read that your purpose here on Earth is to remember. Can you maybe explain to me and to our audience what do you mean by that?
Yeah, remember, it's a concept that usually as humans we think it's to remember past lives or to remember things that happened before. And that's why people knew me, because I used to remember things from the past.
Exactly, yeah.
But actually the concept of remember is to put the members together, or to tie and connect things that usually we think they are separate. So, for example, what I try to do is to try to connect ancient civilizations with I don't know, with science today, with philosophy, with education, with politics, with biology. So it's like everything makes sense if you connect it correctly.
Yeah.
So, I consider remembering that.
So bringing the old wisdom, bringing that back together with our new technology right now. Yeah,
it's a mix of everything and trying to make sense of things that usually are not connected to one another.
Mm-hmm. Is it also feeling that this is your mission here right now on planet Earth? What do you feel?
Yes, my main mission is to remember. So basically, is to help, allow through stories, through explanations, through answering questions, to help people to understand that everything is connected and how can we use that connection.
So maybe you can explain something. How can we use that connection and how can we bring it all back together? What can we do?
Well, for example, we have today in our time, we have the same conflict we have is also the solution, which is an over-information. We have so much data, so much information that today we cannot trust anything. No. Like we can search for anything online, but at the same time, you don't know if it's true or not. Mm-hmm. Like not even science is something you can trust.
So true, you know.
It's so complicated that a lot of people, even if you have all the information there, they go towards spirituality because it's easier to say, well, I trust something beyond my reality because it's too much. For me, one of the good things that remembering helps is to understand that you don't have to understand the whole thing. You just have to trust the other aspects of yourself that are spread in the reality, and it helps to also understand that you are a link in a bigger picture.
Wow.
That if you do what you're supposed to do, if you trust and understand that there are other links doing their part, and you do your part, and instead of trying to understand what the others are doing, you trust yourself and try to understand yourself in what you are supposed to do, which is inwards, trying to understand yourself, going within. So all the information that is outside can be useful for you instead of overwhelming. So one of my goals, let's say, in all of this is try to help people to understand that the more information you have outside and more overwhelmed you feel, actually the next question is who I am in all of this.
Exactly.
Where I am. So you start to ask yourself, what is this for me? What is this? Who am I in all of this?
Yeah.
So I feel that the remembrance of this time is not about knowing something else. It's about knowing yourself and trying to understand what is your location, your link in between all the other aspects.
Do you believe that this is our purpose here on Earth?
Mine?
Mankind? That we all have to remember who we really are and starting to question ourselves like, who am I?
Well, I would say that there's no purpose. And that's something very unspiritual from my side.
I love it.
Yeah. Because a purpose, I usually explain that purpose, the word, it means to put something ahead. Yeah. So what is a purpose? A purpose is when you connect yourself, when you understand, oh, this is me here and now. So the question of what I want to be is the purpose.
Exactly.
So there's no purpose for humanity unless we create a purpose. In the meantime, the whole purpose is to create links.
Yeah.
Is to connect to create more options. That's it. Let's create more options. Let's try to understand what can we do with where we are. So, and purposes helps us to kind of guide us where to put intention of all these connections.
Yes, and to be.
Yeah, to be, that's what that's what makes us humans, actually. Like the ability to not just interweave data, but to become something from it.
Beautiful. When did this all started for you? All these memories and kind of things.
Since I was born.
Yeah.
Since I was born, I was able to see everything that was around me and in other dimensions and different beings explaining me things. But it was not spiritual. For me, it was not like spirituality. For me, it was like there were beings that appear and explain me how to speak with a tree. Wow. That explained me about psychology and how to treat someone when they were mad, or these kind of things. Like it was not like an angel coming and giving me a message of the future. For me, it was like an angel that has no wings. It was a person that came, sit down, and said, "How do you feel today? Why do you feel sad today?" So it was more like that, and through that connection with that other realm of consciousness, that expanded consciousness, every year I was understanding more, remembering more, and connecting more with so many other things that that then helped me explain history, universe, and yeah.
So for you, this is all super normal.
For me, it was very normal. Yeah, I didn't understand why the other people didn't.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I thought that was the normal thing.
Yeah.
And because my family was agnostic, I didn't have the religion background. So I didn't have the Christian or church or anything behind. So for me, it was like, oh, it's art, is people that is helping me from other dimension. But what is a dimension? I don't know. It's just an idea. So it was more relaxed, let's say.
Yeah. And your mother was very important for you, right?
Yeah, of course. My mom was 18 years old when she got me.
Okay.
Or 16. So we were like siblings more than mother and son.
Okay.
So she was studying art. So for her, everything that I was saying or living was an expression of art. So it was not like he's crazy or he's spiritual. No, there was no thoughts about it. Yeah.
Yeah. How did it feel for you as a child to have this kind of consciousness and to be in the room and in the classroom with other children? How was it for you? How did you handle that?
At the beginning was fun, was amazing, because I had so many ideas and so many things that that the teachers, my friends, they usually came to me to ask what to do. We are bored, or we want to understand something, or whatever. So I was like the oracle. Yeah. But when I was a teenager, that was the tough part, because I started to remember very emotional things.
Okay.
And,
from your past lives? From your past lives?
Yeah, from past lives. So I started to remember myself as a grandmother, for example, or I don't know, someone that was killing someone. So it was very tough, all those memories together. So as a teenager, all of that started to mix, and it was very tough to relate. I
can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So
how did you handle that? How did you handle this period?
Well, for me, it was always about writing it, making drawings, and being inside my room, painting the walls, and doing like a crazy person, of course. But the good thing, beyond what I was doing, what actually helped me a lot was that my friends, some teachers, and my mom, they were very supportive, and they were there for me. Like, instead of thinking he's having a problem,
exactly,
they were with me saying, what can we do? You know. It's so important to have someone that listens to you, even if that person doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
To be there and share it. It helps a lot to express what is in your mind, so you don't actually get with yourself and get crazy inside.
Exactly. So it's very special that you have this mother and these teachers who are really helping you, because I can imagine that maybe some children who also have this kind of consciousness, it's very tough when they didn't get this kind of, understanding. Do you think
exactly.
that Sorry. Do you think that this can be a problem for children with this kind of consciousness?
Most of them. Because that's the most important thing, to be heard, to be whole, to be held by someone else. And it doesn't matter what is within you. It's just about accepting that the other person is perceiving something that you cannot. Mm-hmm. It's like for me, I don't know, like I'm very bad with numbers. I don't know how to say 2 + 2. It's very difficult for my mind. But when I see someone that is a genius in mathematics, imagine if I would say that person is crazy, just because I don't understand 2 + 2.
I got it.
So if the other person is so passionate about something that I don't understand, it doesn't mean that it's not true. Mm-hmm. I think that to share this passion and say, wow, tell me more, I want to hear more, what can you do with it, what is the practical side of it, or I don't know, it helps a lot. So I think that most of the kids that have this kind of connections, usually parents or whoever around them, instead of supporting or asking, they want to do something with it. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, this kid is connected, so maybe we should take him to a spiritual place, or, this kind of things. Or in the opposite, like, don't speak about this because people will judge you, or you have to finish your homework, and this is just madness or whatever. So, because we don't know how to hear, and when we hear, sometimes we tend to project what we want for the other person to be. That's what creates actually a lot of problems for kids that are very wide open to many other things. Yeah.
Do you think that right now there are children born with this bigger consciousness?
Many.
Yeah.
Like
How come?
Even more than when we were kids.
Yeah. Is it to do with the time we are living in right now, that we're moving in this new the period of Aquarius? Do you think that it has to do with it?
Yeah, I describe this like we have to stop thinking in terms of humans, let's say. Okay. So imagine that it's not humanity that is evolving, it's the planet Earth. So imagine that planet Earth has been evolving for millions and millions of years through biology. And we are just an extension of its body. So we are neurons on a living being that is bigger than us. And sometimes we forget that we exist because of the fungi realm, the animal realm, the vegetal realm, the mineral realm. So we are one of the last products of billions of years of evolution. So we are what is happening right now with humanity, that we are going so fast, is not because humans are going fast, it's because the planet is changing its mind. Wow. So everything that is happening today is because the planet is right now thinking, wait a moment, I have been doing this my whole life, and now something changed within me that allowed me to say, who am I? Wow. So in that question, who am I? The planet has been for 300,000 years 3 million years, 3 million years trying to find a way to answer the question, who am I? So for the planet, it's nothing, but for us as cells in this planet, 3 million years of evolution of questioning ourselves, who am I?
So it's a very special time we are living in right now, Matías.
It is, and the next 2,000 years will be absurd.
Yeah. What do you think? What will happen in the next couple of 50 years, maybe?
Well, yesterday a new period started actually, and next 20 years are going to be very, very interesting because the planet is ready to spread. So that's why humanity is evolving so fast with technology and also moving forward into other planets. So the next 20 years will be very intense in development of technology, which means that biology will be even slow compared to what technology can do. Mm-hmm. So I think the challenge we have in this next 20 years is to understand what is actually consciousness, what is actually humanity, and what is actually our goal as a civilization, as a species, and who we are in all of this. Yeah. Because all the problems will be solved by technology. Wow. The only problems that won't be solved are the ones that are here. Our own mind. In our mind. Yeah. So I think it's going to be very interesting, and consciousness will be one of the main topics. Wow. To develop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are afraid of this technology, afraid about AI and these kind of things. So what are you meaning? What do you think? What will happen? Is it good for mankind? Well, being afraid of technology is like being afraid of a hammer. Like, of course, if you hit yourself with it, yes. If you don't know how to use a hammer, for sure it will hurt you. But so I think that the most terrible thing is fear. And I am not a humanist, let's say. I am a universalist, and I believe that, for example, my cells to exist, they need silica, they need oxygen, they need nitrogen, and it's the same basis that technology uses to connect information. So in certain ways, we have been AI, but we evolved for millions of years, and the AI that we are developing right now, it's been only 20 years around. So so it needs another billions of years until they discover a soul, for example. I don't know. But what I feel is that we evolve in a biological way with the programming that says you need to survive, you need to survive. Mm-hmm. So anything that is outside yourself can kill you. Yes. So because of that, we created fear as a way of evolution. Mm-hmm. And that's why we are constantly afraid of things, constantly trying to think about what is going to kill us. And actually, I'm more concerned about unconsciousness than technology. Exactly. So consciousness will be a very important topic. It is because until now, until today, technology has solved more problems than human beings. Mm. So if you see in history, humans have created all the wars, all the conflicts and everything, and technology is proposing different solutions for that. Yeah. So it's not that I want for technology to take over the planet. Of course, it's not the thing. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that where is the concern? Where is the concern is actually in technology, or is a fear that we have in anything? Yeah. Because people is afraid of other cultures, is afraid of people that feels different, is afraid of people that can see something that you cannot see. It's not about technology, it's about fear.
Yeah. Do you think we are afraid of ourselves?
Yeah, because when you're alone, you know, yeah, it's, I'm sorry if I say a bad word, but we are fucked up.
I love it. Yes, we are fucked up. Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
know
and,
we don't know
and,
anymore who we are, right?
Sorry?
We don't know anymore who we are.
No, we trying to figure out who we are imitating others constantly. And when we find who we are, suddenly we are not humans. When you go deeper to who you actually are, you understand, oh, wait a moment. I am an infinite power wrapped in a bunch of cells that has the shape of a human being.
Exactly.
And so when you go deeper and deeper into who you are, suddenly you're infinite. So if you are infinite, it means that you cannot control yourself. So all the fears and all the low energy and frequencies, they become a source of energy. So we are so afraid of what we could become, that we need limits. So we create limits just to say, no, I'm not being able to do this. I have to take care of this tiny little reality, because otherwise I'm afraid that I will lose control, because who could I be if I am everything? Mm-hmm. How can I express myself?
Do you think there was a period of time that this was very different, that we were in a different kind of state of being?
Yeah, of course. A few thousand years ago, there were some cultures, not all humans, but some cultures that accomplished this potentiality of saying we are gods living in a human body.
Wow, yeah.
So the whole, for example, Atlantis civilization was designed to empower that infinite divine within ourselves, and they created a whole way of understanding that through stories, through storytelling, alchemy, gods and goddesses. And today we believe that was just a story. A story, a mystery, or something like that. But actually, it's very relatable with science today. It's just that instead of calling atoms, they call it the Eye of Ra.
Yeah.
So it's just a different way of calling exactly the same. And at the end, they said it's so infinite that the only way to access it is through imagination. So we need to understand that the universe is actually mind, and the mind is not in the brain.
Wow.
So they needed to believe.
We are the universe.
Exactly. So they needed to learn how to create stories to program the body in order to become something more.
Mm-hmm.
That was the time that I believe we are heading to again. Mm-hmm. The thing is that we have been so controlled in our minds by religion and beliefs, even in science, that today when you say, I believe I am this, there will be always someone saying, no, that's not the truth. Mm-hmm. So we have this mistrust in the inner reality that is forbidding us to actually access all the infinite power. Yeah,
yeah. You also have memories from about your past life in Atlantis. What kind of memories are these? Can you maybe tell us something?
Yeah.
Do you remember this picture? Can you see?
I don't see it well.
Okay. I think the lost city of Atlantis, it's just a wonderful picture of it. But
oh, cool. Well, I didn't live exactly in the city of Atlantis. I lived in the colonies.
Okay.
In Nile. Mm-hmm. I don't remember much about being in the main capital. I lived in the colony. So we call it Atlantis. It was 𝘠𝘩𝘠𝘦, and we were called 𝘠𝘦𝘻𝘦. So in our colony, the women were ruling. So it was a matriarchal society. I was a woman, and I was not like, it was not like queens or kings or stuff like that. It was more like circles of women taking care of a family. And so I was part of one of the circles in the north of the country. And as I said at the beginning of our talk, that it was not easy. Even if it was one of the most advanced and beautiful moments of human consciousness, we were obligated, since we were children, to force our bodies to take out the potential of ourselves.
Wow.
And that meant to learn how to die every year.
Wow.
So we had to go through different difficult things to ignite our inner power, to let ourselves die constantly. And it was sometimes away from the family. We had to do things that were scary. We have to get rid of all the fears and jealousy and all the low emotions in the worst way possible. So, yeah. So
why was that, Matías? Why was that? With which meaning do you have to go through all these kind of things?
The Atlantean civilization understood that that nature and all reality was only one living being. So they said, if we are not all aligned in the same, so we cannot access the next level. If everyone is doing whatever, we cannot access the next level of consciousness.
Yeah.
We all have to be in the same frequency to go to the right tune.
Wow.
So you needed to know how to speak properly. There were certain people that couldn't speak the same words than others. It's like saying, I don't know, like Spanish is one instrument, English is another instrument. And if you dedicate to this, you shouldn't speak this one here. So the orchestra doesn't make a mistake. So it was so precise, so Virgo, let's say, like you have to take care of this and you cannot go to the other side. You have to do this and you cannot move to this direction. Because it was like a machine. They understood the reality as like a time machine. So it was like a Swiss watch that everything needed to work perfectly. So if someone went out of that, which is like the freedom of doing whatever, that meant that you are failing for the entire planet.
Wow.
So it was like, it was tough.
Yes, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough. Like no free time. Because it was always like questioning yourself: are you doing it right? Are you eating properly? Are you like all of this? And there were some people that were meant to have fun, and there were some others that were meant not to, in order to balance that. So those who were chosen to not to have fun and be always there. So there was no like
having
like
fun,
freedom choice, huh?
Well, can this also be a lesson for our timeline right now, where we are right now, or what do you think? Or was it...
Today, the difference today is that in that time we understood that we grew with that idea. We grew with this. Oh, I have to be this element,
and that we are in frequency. Yeah,
I have to take the best of myself in order to become that element. So if I do that, I will help the entire world to change, to transform. So they said, if we want to go to another level of consciousness, we all have to do it together. So it's a teamwork.
Exactly.
You take care of that, I take care of this. So the problem that happened in between Atlantis and us is that each one of those different gears in the watch, in this clock, they started to believe that they were doing it so good that the other ones were doing it wrong. So they started to say, okay, maybe I have to control all the rest, so I can manage that everything is working perfectly.
Yeah.
And that created control, mistrust, mind, I don't know,
mind control. Yeah.
Yeah, and all of that. So it started to destroy the trust even in ourselves. And today what we have is a trauma of people trying to control constantly. So we want to do whatever because we are tired of people telling us what to do. So this time right now, it's a traumatic era in which the body is trying to be free from whatever.
Yeah.
If you tell me that I cannot be a cat, then I will say I'm a cat. So you know,
yes.
That's what is happening today.
Yes, true. So yeah. Do you think that there is a collective kind of trauma we have?
It's a collective trauma, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a collective trauma. And we are, because it's a trauma, we are not understanding it properly. Like, for example, let's say, of course, I'm a human. I'm not a cat. Okay? But in an atomic realm or a quantum level, I am also a cat. So if we are all one, I can be anything I want. The problem is when you identify this with the infinite potential. So that's the trauma. That's when we have a trauma, because you identify yourself.
Yes, we had to identify. That. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And you say, no, of course, that's me too.
Yeah.
It's within me. It's an infinite potential that I can harvest, that I can take benefit from, that I can connect with. But the trauma tells you, I want to be that because someone else don't want for me to be it.
Yeah. Yeah. How can we go through this kind of trauma?
Oh, well, we need 2,000 years more.
Yeah.
Like,
so you're not there yet.
No, we are releasing the trauma. It's like, you know, humanity right now is like this kid that is started to cry because someone said no, and the kid started to cry, and imagine that someone, the mother or whoever, comes and say, don't cry, everything's fine. You have to cry because it's a moment of realization, is a moment of release of energy that it's needed. So what we are living today, it's the releasing of trauma. That's why for me it's like a great time, because everyone is so concerned about for everything to be perfect that we forget that in order to be an adult, you had to go through all this kid trauma, you know, that was crying, falling from the bicycle, you know, all these kind of things are part of growing up. So what we are living today as this big trauma of everyone asking, who am I? Who am I? I want to be this, I want to be that, or whatever. It's a trauma of who am I? And that's amazing. That people is having that trauma. It's amazing because it shows you that that the planet is asking, who am I? So I need to go through all this trauma to release it until you find out. But if someone forbids you from do that and say, don't cry, this is the truth. So eventually you will still fight and fight and fight. And that trauma will become the essence of your life, not just one day of crying. So
you think that this is the reason why we all have to suffer a lot, or during life?
We suffer a lot because instead of allowing ourselves to live the process, we are constantly trying for it to finish. It's like, if you believe in the paradise, everything will be hell. You know, just because paradise is in your mind and you will never live it.
Wow.
So all the process of getting to the paradise will be hell. And every time that you think you are in the paradise, you will always have something to say, like, it could be even better.
Yeah.
So suffering is a choice in the process.
So how can we handle suffering? What can we do? What do you suggest?
it's not, of course, it's not easy recipe to say, oh, this is the way you won't suffer. But what I would say is that next time that you suffer, instead of trying to get out of it, try to embody it and to embrace that suffering and recognizing that all that suffering is your choice. Just say that I am choosing right now to feel this. This is my choice of feeling this in this precise moment. So the first thing we have to do with suffering is not trying to avoid it, is to recognize it.
And to embrace it.
Because, yeah, it's there. It's something that is normal. It's the contraction of the electrical pulses in your cells. So it's something you cannot escape because it's going to be always there. Like for us today, a heartbeat, it's lovely, but for the heart, it was suffering at the beginning because it meant electrical pulses pushing something. So we turn that suffering into love, for example.
So, you think that suffering is meant for us to evolve?
Yes, is the process of evolution. So the concept of one thing is to suffer in the evolution. The other thing is to create suffering as a structural belief. So when you suffer in the process of evolving, you have discovery, you have adventure, you have the whoa moment. When you create suffering as a structural belief, even if nothing is happening, you will be suffering because it's in your mind. So like, for example, I usually say places that are in war, for example. Why is these people suffering? There is people suffering. Yes. But there's always the choice of living. And I know that right now, what I just said is terrible for most of the people. Because it's like, no, it's difficult to go. I don't know, like my family from the south of Italy, they escaped to go to Argentina to survive. They have no food. The Italians were trying to kill them all in the south and Naples. So it was the worst time ever, 1870s. And they left. They just saw that they have other options and they didn't even know what were those options. They just decided to leave instead of staying. And because of that, they got a house in Argentina. They got a family. They met that. So and now I exist. So it was because of the choice of saying, I'm not going to stay here to suffer. So the attachment is the one that says, no, I have to stay here. I have to suffer because this is my land. This is my... Is this your land? Is this your body? Is this your reality? Because I wouldn't exist here as an Argentinian if an Italian, not even Italian, it was not Italy at that time, but a person from Naples would say, I don't care about this place, I leave. So so sometimes we structure ourselves too much in the belief that are not real, and options are constantly there. It's an infinite possibility. If there's no possibility, it's because you don't see it, not because it's not there.
So to think in options.
The universe is infinite.
Wonderful. Let's go back to Atlantis and this kind of state of being they had. Do you think we can go back to that kind of state of being? We are moving to that state of being?
Yeah, we are. The thing is that the times are completely different because the times of Atlantis was the Virgo era. And now we're going to Aquarius era, which is completely different. So we cannot go into what Atlantis was. We can go to something similar with the ideas, but adapted to Aquarius.
To remember these memories you have, is it something we can all do?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, of course. You say, of course, but how?
Yeah.
How does it work? Does it have something to do with our Akash, right? I read something about Akasha, our own library. How does it work?
Yeah, in India they call it Akasha. To make it more Aquarius time, let's call it Wi-Fi or
Wonderful. Yes.
Akasha means light. So if you think in terms of technology, the Akasha would be all the infinite codes that encode a system, a software. So I usually tend to explain like your body is a device, like a phone, for example, and all the Akasha, the information is software. So, for example, in order for us to communicate, we are using Google, for example, or Gmail, or WhatsApp, or whatever. So WhatsApp is the same for every phone, it's the same software. So you can access to that, but you choose who you are going to communicate with, what you are going to send. So eventually, you are using something that is not yours, that is from everyone. So imagine that you have the app that instead of being called WhatsApp, it's called Atlantis. Mm-hmm. So we all can communicate through that app.
So
the thing is that we don't know how to use it.
So we can all tap into that kind of software, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. The thing is that most of us, we don't have a proper update of the system. So because we are so attached to what we wear, it's like we are in 2024, but most of people are still using a BlackBerry. That's, so yes. that would be, or
so it's time for humankind that we get this update together.
Yeah, we need that. That's why we need to update together, because most of the people are being left behind because we are still with these traumas. Like it's trying to use ChatGPT with a phone that only applies for SMS.
So how can we do this update by ourselves?
A lot of therapy.
Going through all these traumas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like to make an update. First, you have to go through all the programming and say what are the apps that are old, that are taking a lot of energy and memory, and I don't need anymore. What are the things that I'm not using that doesn't belong to me? Maybe I inherit that phone and I have some apps that I had no idea what they are. So I have to take them away.
Let's remove them. Let's remove them.
Yeah, remove some of them or update them. Like, okay, I didn't know that I have this, but maybe it's useful for me right now. So I have to make an update of that app. So it's like, I don't know, to make an update of an app, let's say that you had, a great-grandfather that was an explorer, or you have a Viking tradition in your blood because, I don't know, you have a Viking surname, for example, but today you are totally the opposite to a Viking, I don't know. And you said, oh, I won't fight for anything, I won't do this, but maybe I can understand computer system through the runic language and maybe understand the magic of the runes, something that is very old. Like the other time I went to Denmark and I said, why my memories from Viking era is taking me here? And suddenly I found Bluetooth. And I was like, oh, that's why, it's the King Bluetooth. So there are many things that are old that with an update, you can use them today for something that is useful for you today. So going backwards in time, it's like making, like observing where are the apps in your history that are not being used, but they are occupying space in your mind and your soul.
Yeah.
So that's why therapy is like facing the traumas, facing the things that you don't want to see, questioning yourself, who am I in all this?
Exactly, and to remove all these programs.
Or update them.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, Matthias, you're saying that it looks to me that we lost this connection with our past lives and our grandparents and others. What do you think? What happened?
I think that one of the things that happened in our maybe the last 100 years is that the old systems in society, in culture, and religion, they were all trying to push us back constantly. So with the fast pulse of evolution that we had in the last 100 years, everyone said, I don't want to move backwards. I don't want to go back. I just want to move forward and leave everything behind. So all the stories, traditions, ideas, beliefs, they turn out against the past, the traditions, the beliefs, and all of that. And we forgot that that's the algorithm of our soul, of our mind, of our body. So right now we are functioning as a machine that functions with this algorithm, but we deny that algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to somehow honor. It's like you know this in the Bible say honor your mother and your father. You know, but in terms of algorithm, that's 1 and 0. Okay, so 1 and 0 in technology is the one that that helps you to see a color, to program something, to work in your phone or your computer, so or see something or watch something in the TV or the computer. So it's all 1s and 0s, 1s and 0s, 1s and 0s. So imagine that in your body, mom, dad, mom, dad, mom, dad, mom, dad. So if you go backwards and you try to change your point of view, the colors you see, the reality you perceive, the programs you're using, what do you have to do? To rewrite 1s and 0s. So in the same way, when you try to change your life, you have to go to mom and dad, grandparents, great-grandfathers. And so it's the same thing, 1s, 0s, 1s, 0s, 1s, 0s, until you decode that. So in the past 100 years, we were so concerned on moving forward and leaving everything that we didn't like behind that we are now acting without the knowledge of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think it's so important to
start remembering.
In order to move forward, we have to go backwards.
Yeah, but it looks to me that there was this kind of intervention or something like that shut down our consciousness in the last couple of 100 years, and we lost all these healing kind of stuff with working with frequencies and energy. Well, what do you think about that?
It's a very complex thing, because it was not like someone or something that did that cut. It was a whole process. We have to remember that humanity are just cells on a bigger body. So sometimes we can see that there are certain cells that are more powerful than others that can control an entire system. But the reason why they can do that is because we allow it. It's the same body. So throughout human history, we have been given too much power to others, and that created a system in which others decide for us what is the best
and what is true.
Yeah, so that disconnects us. It's like the other day we were watching the TV with my friend. No, we were talking, and there was an advertisement from the government of Spain, and it was like this lady that had a sad face and was dressed like a lemon, and it was the Minister of Health of Spain, and it said, my mother, it was written, my mother-in-law told me that I had a pain in my throat, and my mother-in-law told me, drink these drops of lemon. So now I am a lemon. And so Anders said, like, don't believe in anything, in everything you said, and everything that they tell you, trust in science, you know? And you say, like, but we always took lemon when you have a problem in your throat, because it's something that is natural that we all know, you know? So
unbelievable.
So that Department of Health is telling you that's a lie, but actually it's true, but that's a lie, and it's in nature, you know it, because then the pills that you take for this are made of alkalinic fruits, which is lemon. So it's like, it's so funny how disconnected we are because we gave the power to others. Ah,
okay, yes. And we are right now in this time of period that we have to claim our own power.
We have to claim our own power, and that's why everyone is like, the governments are bad, the religions are bad, and we have all these things. And it's not that governments and religions are bad. I'm always a defender of systems. It's terrible, but I say they are not bad. They were useful for a certain period of time. The only problem is that we are still using them when they are not useful anymore. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's like wearing a coat in plain summer in the Caribbean, and we say coats are terrible. Coats are terrible. Yeah, of course it's terrible. It's summer and it's the Caribbean. So it's useful if you're in Norway, of course.
Yes.
Also
in the Netherlands. Also in the Netherlands. Yeah.
Or the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that that humanity usually blames a system for the conflicts that we are not able to face ourselves. Mm-hmm.
Do you think our government needs an update?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yes.
Our governments still work with the Roman law, 2,000 years of the same laws. Like we cannot work with that. Like we cannot have a Senate. Like Senate means all people. So because in the past we trust the old people because of their experience, but today a 15-year-old guy knows much better about how to create a company than an old person in the Senate. So like, and it's proved. So the whole system is so old, but it's not on the system to blame.
Mm-hmm. The blame is on us.
It's just that instead of building the new systems, we complain about the old one. Mm-hmm. You know? So that's not how it works. We shouldn't complain about the old one. We should thank the old one and say thank you for everything you've done for us.
Wonderful.
Until now.
So we have to focus on not fighting the old, but building the new.
Yeah, of course. I gave a talk once in Bolivia about this kind of things, and there was a Freemason that stood up and came to me and said, "Thank you, because you are the only one that is not talking shit about us."
Wow.
And I said, "Of course not. You gave us the republics. You gave us the free speech. you gave us university. Now you're all old people that don't know how to do stuff." but that doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you just an old guy.
So you're good friends right now with the Freemasons, Matías.
What?
You're good friends right now with
No. I don't think they like me.
No, I don't think so as well.
I don't think they like me, but I'm not against them because I know what they were doing was good for their time.
Exactly.
The only problem is that they kept doing the same thing in the 21st century.
Yes. Is that the whole problem we are living in right now, that the old systems wants to keep control?
The old systems, well, I feel like, you know, when you are living in your parents' house and your dad is still saying, under my roof, these are my rules, this kind of things. But suddenly it's only one dad and like 100 kids that think completely different. So the 100 kids are saying, no, we want something different. But the dad says, yeah, but I'm still paying the bills. So that's kind of what is happening today. Like all the kids saying, I want something different. But the dad saying, yeah, but you're not responsible. So if the 100 kids become responsible, suddenly they will help the dad to change the system.
Wow.
And I think that's what is happening now. Yeah.
Wonderful, Matías. Last week we launched our new travel with our platform Univibes, that we are going to Egypt. And then I read that you were saying that Egypt is a very special place also for a period of time where we are living in right now. Why is that?
Well, Egypt is located in a very strategic place in the planet, not only because of the history of the pharaohs and the pyramids, but because of the geography, the movement of the river, the latitudes and parallels where it's located. It represents the axis of the planet. So, and in our cells, every human has the memory that in order to be who we are today, at one point we had to cross the river, the Nile.
Wow.
So the Nile encodes the path of the first people that follow the stars to create humanity. So that is why it's so important. It's not just because of the pyramids. It's because for every human in this planet, we all have the memory of the Nile in our cells. So every time that we have to think about, let's cross to another side, let's do something completely different, in our cells says, what was the first time that we did that?
Wow.
When we crossed the Nile. The first time that we follow the stars towards the north. So, so that's why it's so important, that territory, for anything that we want to do. And there are many stories that connects the future with Egypt.
Oh yeah.
And
what kind of stories, Matías?
Well, for example, Osiris' story, that's the most important one. So Osiris, Isis, Set, and Nephthys were guided by Thoth from Atlantis to the Nile to create this new reality, this new country.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened there was that that they divided the territory in four, and each one of them had a specific connection or power in different territories. So Osiris was the one in rule of the earth, of all the lands. So Seth, who was in the desert, he said, I want to rule the Nile. I want to be the one having all the power of the Nile. So what he did was, because his brother was eternal, he decided to do something which was cut eternity in pieces. So he divided his brother in 14 pieces.
Wow.
And these 14 pieces were thrown along the Nile so Seth could rule. And so Isis and Nephthys, they tried to put all the pieces together. So the last one being found was the penis. And because of that, she mummified Osiris, and with the penis, the obelisk, created a path from the sun to the ground until they created Horus, which is the pure light. And the eye of Horus was the one that, through consciousness, defeated death, darkness, which was Set. So when we think about this story, we usually think, oh, it's a myth from Egypt. But actually, it's talking about something very interesting that I love. It's talking about time and space, and how space was divided in different fragments. Those fragments are actually a dodecahedron, which is 12 sides, 12 faces, plus one North Pole and South Pole, which is the 14 pieces. So the North Pole was lost, which is we don't know where to go. But when you lose the North, that means that you rely your power to the next one. In terms of electricity, that means that you lose an ion, or a particle on an atom. So if you have 14 pieces of an atom, what you have is silica, which is a stone. So silica, you have 14 protons and 14 neutrons all together, which is Isis and Osiris. But when you take one electron from the equation, which means the penis of Osiris, when you take that one, you create electricity. So Horus, the eye of Horus, the light. So by taking a piece of the whole, you create a connectivity. And that's what technology is, for example.
Wow.
So, so the myth of Osiris is talking about the biological way in which the DNA was designed along the Nile to create the different aspects of the being, connecting the different levels of consciousness through the DNA. And in the other hand, also through stones, through silica, every temple and pyramid were doing the same within this information. So, so basically, the myth of Osiris is talking about an inner process of the biology connected to the outer process of silica, and how the mountains become a person and the person becomes a mountain, and how everything is connected and in this wire of light. So I think that myth is very important for us to understand also how different programmings can be connected to one another to create a path for technology, for enlightenment, for spirituality, but also for science. So it's just a tiny story from all the stories that were told there.
And also to activate our DNA again? What do you think about that?
Yeah, there are many things that are not activated in our DNA. And one of the reasons why is because we are not connected to the other parts of humans. And like, for example, we tend to believe that human is what we are now, but a mushroom is human too. A plant, a tree is a human too.
Because
human
we
means
are all connected.
Yeah, because human means a being from Earth.
Wonderful.
So we are mammals. We are hominids that are humans. There's a tree that is a vegetable that is also human. So, so the other aspects of our DNA, it's when we put together all the consciousness of what humanity actually is, not just a monkey.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I love it. I love it. I had this question. So Atlantis had a big influence on Egypt.
Yes.
So the last people after happened this after the flood, the big flood. What happened in Atlantis, and they moved to Egypt?
It happened even before, actually.
Okay.
Before Atlantis went down, Atlantis created a whole system around the planet of pyramids and a map of a machine that was supposed to be built through time.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone had like a plan or like a map on what to do, when to do it. So there was a connection between Atlantis and Egypt for a long time before the flood. The thing is that Egypt was the most important place where all the Atlanteans said, whatever happens to our system, the next one on being activated would be the Nile. Wow. So that's why everyone moved there.
Did these people build the pyramids as well? Or how? Yeah. What do you think?
Yes.
And why did they build them?
They're a machine, a time machine. let's say they are the computers or the servers for the entire planet. The thing is that these servers, I call it the time machine because they are activated when they are aligned with certain stars. If they are not aligned with certain stars, they don't work properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why they are alignment with the stars there, right? In Egypt?
Yes, not only Egypt, around the globe.
Yeah.
Yeah, the entire planet. So, so basically around the planet, all the pyramids are only one net. So it's like having, it's the Starlink of the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the real Starlink to have this connection between Earth and the cosmos.
Exactly.
So, but we lost this connection.
We lost it because we lost the way of connecting with ourselves. One of the main things about the Atlantean technology is that it's not a tool like a phone for us. Like imagine if for you to turn on your phone, you have to tune the right note. And if you don't tune with your right note in the perfect center, activating your Kundalini first, the phone cannot unlock. You know, so it's like we are part of the technology. And if we are concerned about survival and fighting one another, and we are not aligned in tune with ourselves, so the machine won't work.
So do you think that we will use the pyramids again? Or are we going to build new ones?
It's going to be tough to build new ones.
Yeah.
And I feel that in the future, we are going to repair them. Yes. Mm-hmm. And maybe new ones will be built, but it's not soon.
Mm-hmm. No.
No, I think we need to access Capricorn era for that again.
Mm-hmm. We have a long way to go, Matías.
Yeah, 2,500 years.
Yeah. I also read that you went to the North Pole, right? Why was it so important for you to go there?
I love the cold.
Yeah. Then you should come to the Netherlands. It's very cold.
I've been many times. But it's too wet.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah. The North Pole is more dry.
Yes. True.
So the North Pole for me is like the eye. Is the eye, the 14th piece that gives the sense of why are we here. So we all have this inner thing of look for the north. You know, like, where's your north? Where is your north? Well, I consider myself a cell of the planet. So my north is the north of the planet. So when I go to the North Pole, for me, it's like touching my head.
Wow.
And accessing a lot of data that in other places I cannot access.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Matías, I have some last couple of questions, but what do you think? 2024 was an amazing, crazy year, maybe. But what do you think? What 2025 will bring? And with all the Pluto who are moving into Aquarius right now, so you said that it is starting right now, right? The new period.
Yeah. We 2025. It's a transition period. Which is going to take us to our next leap in evolution in between 2026 and 2029. So we are, 2026 for me, it's like a preparation for us to actually begin the task again, or a task of reconnection of consciousness, like a very intense one, between 2026 and 2029.
Wow. So do you believe that mankind is on the brink of a breakthrough? That we are slowly moving into this new 5D dimension?
We are moving into something amazing, but it would be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are going through this kind of chaotic phases.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I usually invite everyone to remember that a birth is always painful unless you have a very high consciousness in which you can turn the giving birth into pleasure. So otherwise you will suffer it. So, but it's a birth. And sometimes because we are so concentrated in the contractions, we forget that it's because of a baby. So I think that humanity right now, it's in this moment of going towards something amazing. But for that new thing to happen, a lot of old things will die.
Yeah, and that will be very chaotic for a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even for people that want change, because most of the people are asking for change, but they don't know and they don't understand what change means. So they want to change, but they don't want to change themselves.
Exactly. Because it's too painful. They don't want to go through these traumas by themselves.
Well, to change, it means to leave you behind, is to transform yourself completely. So and you have been for years building who you are today. So it's like so sacred. Oh, this is me. I don't want to change. I'm afraid of changing because what if then others won't love me? What if I would lose my job or my home or my, so this uncertainty of what would happen if I change.
Exactly. It looks to me that we really are in this phase, that a lot of people are suffering about this topic.
Yes, but most of people are suffering not because they are not changing, but because they are changing and they don't want it.
Exactly.
And so everything's changing, and there's so much fear of what could happen if I change, that it's more the suffering of the process than what actually is happening.
Yeah. So do you believe that everyone, every human being or humankind it can move into this new reality? Or does someone also, maybe it's too painful for someone?
Not everyone has to change completely. But most of the people are asking for it. So when you have more than half of humanity saying, this doesn't go anywhere, we have to change, we have to do this and that, so the whole system is being pushed to change.
Exactly.
And if there's another part of the humanity that don't want to change, well, they will be stuck in the previous systems, and they will try to survive as long as possible. The thing is that we don't have to fight about it. The problem with people that wants to change is that they want for everyone to change. Like, I'm not comfortable here, so I want for everyone to be uncomfortable too. So, and that's not how it works. When you work in consciousness, it's not about this has to change. No, when you work in consciousness is I am changing.
Exactly.
So I am changing. Nothing has to change. You have to change if you want to change.
So maybe one last question, Matías. You just told me that the Netherlands has a very important role for you, or that you went here many times. Why is that?
Yeah, well, Netherlands is like the opposite to Atlantis.
Oh, really? How come?
Instead of going down, you build a country above the water. But there are many things, like, for example, it's a very long story, but to summarize the concept, I've been called to India to see where was something that was broken in history, it's related to Ramas Bridge in the south of India and Sri Lanka. So it's a very old story that says that Sita, the wife of Rama, one of the incarnations or avatar of Vishnu, she was kidnapped in Sri Lanka by a demon, and so Rama with Hanuman needed to build a bridge to the other side, and to rescue her, and he did it with arrows. So the whole explanation actually describes a symphony of a bridge, of a rainbow bridge, that the rainbow bridge that are in the Norse traditions, that connects, let's say, the story of all the chemical elements, the periodic table, but instead of being organized like Mendeleev did it, it's a spiral. Okay, it's the rainbow bridge, they call it. So to connect all the different realities. So the thing is that Sita, it's one ion in that bridge. And if you take Sita, one of those ions, it breaks the entire bridge. So the connection between worlds and realities break apart.
Mm-hmm.
So in the tradition of India, that said that broke the beginning of everything, which is Brahma. And Brahma is an egg, the golden egg. So the whole story is we have to repair the golden egg, which is the golden ratio.
Wow.
It's a mathematical thing with a lot of connections, a lot of things. So when I was meditating there in Sri Lanka, trying to access that information, what I'm supposed to do with all of this, the beings there in that region, they told me, look above and you will see the yin yang. And if you see in geography, above India, you have Taklamakan Desert with the Karakoram mountains, which is Tibet and China. So they both create the yin yang.
Wow.
So go to the yin yang and drew a line in the same direction, crossing Ramas Bridge, which is South India, Sri Lanka, and you will find where to correct the egg. Where can you find the missing ion? And the only thing that is down there, it's a tiny little island that is called Amsterdam. So, so I said, okay, it's in Amsterdam. So I went to Amsterdam to look for the egg. And
did you find it?
Yeah, I just went there for that. And all I found was like these golden eggs painted on the walls in Amsterdam. And I said, this is interesting. So I was driving around the country trying to find out something until I felt the calling to a specific place that I had no idea where it was. And I went there. And
do you still remember what this place was? What was the name of this place? Everyone is going into this place after you were saying it. So
yes, it's called Naarden.
Naarden, yes.
So watch in Google Maps what Naarden is, and you will see the golden egg. So there is something in that region that in Europe represents the plexus of Europe, represents the I am of Europe, and that's in Netherlands. And so it says the I am, the aspect that was missing, that helps everything to become one. In the history of India, it's actually hidden there, and it's related to the first people that sail from Netherlands to the south of India and all of those regions. And the places that the Netherlands people touched, they are related to the parts of the I am in the Indian Ocean.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah. So it's a very long story. I just summarized a lot.
So
but,
so the next time you are coming to visit the Netherlands, we are going to Naarden. We are going to organize an event in Naarden.
that would be great. That would be great. Yeah.
That would be amazing. Well, Matías, I want to thank you so much for this wonderful conversation we had, and it's such a pleasure to meet you, and hopefully we can meet each other here in the Netherlands. But I want to say thank you so much for your time and for being here with us. I appreciate it a lot, and I know our audience appreciate you as well. So, and thank you for all the work what you are doing.
Thank you.